I'm here with Franz von Holzhausen, the Mazda North American lead designer, next to the latest concept car they've come out with called the Furai. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And this is the latest of what, 4 that you've done?
This is the 5th, actually, from the Nagari Design Philosophy series. Yeah.
And every one of these is a variation of the same type of philosophy. Tell us how this one fits in, Franz.
This one we call Functional Nagari, and if you remember, the very first concept car that we debuted a year ago in LA was called Nagari, and it really was about flow and describing flow and as a textural element on the car to express the Mazda Zoom Zoom.
It's a very interesting philosophy because there's a sense to this car that it's a living thing because of the surface texture, and yet if you call something organic, you tend to think of big, rounded, and heavy, but this car is the opposite of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's extremely lean, and you know, the textures that we're inspired by are really coming from nature. We're really looking to add emotion and motion into what Zoom Zoom is. You know, Zoom Zoom is the emotion of motion. We're trying to add a visual cue to all of our vehicles, and some of the flow lines and character lines you see on the car really came from the CFD study that we did with Swift Engineering to develop the airflow both on top of the car and underneath the car. There's a huge amount of ground effects that are happening on this car that keep it glued to the road, and what we're hoping to do with this is to bring a lot of the design cues from our road cars into motorsports, so you see it on Saturday or Sunday and you can go out and buy it on Monday.
Well, it'd be really cool because you're absolutely right. In a lot of forms of racing, the cars are indistinguishable but for the decals, and that's a real loss. So it'd be wonderful if they started looking distinguished like this. What actually is under the skin of this car?
Well, it's based on a Courage chassis, which is the chassis of choice for Mazda in the past for the ALMS series, and it's powered by a 3-rotor, ethanol-based E100 engine, and it's developing about 450 horsepower, so the thing moves.
Well, it sounds spectacular. When you drove it out the other day and you were revving the engine, it's got that race car roar to it with that instantaneous rising and falling of the revs.
Yeah, nothing sounds like a rotary. You know, even at 8,000 RPMs, it sounds like 22, so it screams.
Terrific, thank you.